Blackmail Boy, The Runaway Model, Book 0. Written by Parker Avrile. Narrated by Piers Ryman. January 2016. It was his mother's last wish. Carlin shouldn't have let himself be manipulated into sitting on this stage, but she'd always wanted him to try out for television, and she'd been gone 2 years now. He'd waited long enough to give her what she wanted, hadn't he? But her death had been so sudden. The new experimental medicine hadn't seemed to do anything. In that it was like all the other medicines she'd taken. But it had been doing something hidden, to her heart. He didn't take the chair at centre front like all the other kids. He used the ugly metal folding chair as a mark, walked right up to it, turned on his toes, sat down next to it, cross-legged on the scuffed stage floor. Not everybody could do that with an acoustic guitar, a violin bow, and a drumstick clutched in his sweaty hands. At 21, Carlin was painfully aware that he wasn't the youngest man auditioning for the part. He might well be the oldest, but if nothing else, he'd just proved he had the strong thighs of a professional dancer. You were asked to play one cover and one original tune. The main character was supposed to be someone who could write his own songs. Not that Carlin was under any delusion that those original songs would go unedited by the cable network's songwriter. The series was set in the early 80s. If Carlin never heard another 17-year-old deeply and meaningfully shout out a cover of Eye of the Tiger, it wouldn't be too soon. Ditto for Toto's Africa. So, he'd decided to cover the Clash's Charlie Don't Surf. Miguel Winterloon, the director, dressed like he was from France, although Carlin knew perfectly well he was from Hackney. Ripped jeans, cashmere scarf, striped shirt. A caricature. Hard to read his eyes behind those wraparound shades. Hard to know if the man even had eyes. Carlin bent over the acoustic guitar. His long, side-parted blonde hair fell over his face, making a veil he hid behind. The spotlight wasn't the most comfortable place in the world for him to be. There was a constant stream of assistants coming and going. He didn't know what they were doing, didn't much care. One of them brought Winterloon a steaming paper cup. Okay, he knew what that one did. The coffee getter. It was a job he'd held himself before. In a loan office, though, not a TV studio. If anybody had noticed he wasn't playing Eye of the Tiger, Carlin didn't have any evidence of it. As if on cue, everyone turned to stare at a side door. A man was walking in, shadowed by 2 matching bodyguards, except one was bald and one had hair. The man himself was bundled up in a ball cap, Oliver Peoples shades, St. Laurent biker jacket, but Carlin knew who he was just from the shape of his hands. The curse of being a trained musician with a trained musician's eye. He noticed long fingers and guitar calluses from a mile away. Tall, slender, 29. A bit of a greaser. Long uncurled hair that might have been brown if the gel didn't make it black. No tats. An old-school 1950s-style greaser wouldn't have professional tats. He'd have jailhouse tats or nothing. The living, breathing reincarnation of a black-and-white film rebel, now reborn in living colour. Stoney Rockland. The director got up and shook his hand. No pretense of listening to Carlin now, if there ever had been such a pretense. It was all a set-up. The audition was a publicity campaign. The winner had probably already been chosen. He'd be discovered by Stoney. Carlin could see it all now. Stoney drank. He wouldn't want to crawl out of bed too early and listen to all the other candidates when the winner had already been determined. Poor Mum, Carlin thought. For himself, he couldn't give a flying fuck. He didn't bother to finish Charlie Don't Surf, and it seemed he wouldn't be using the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?